PepsiCo is a massive company valued at nearly $250 billion. And this is due in no small part to their insane advertising, their unique business moves, and their wide variety of beloved products. Seriously, you can live almost exclusively off of PepsiCo products. But what happens when a company this big gets involved in some controversies? Well, I guess nothing too major, but you'd be surprised at the kind of stuff PepsiCo walks away from unscathed. From military negotiations with the Soviet Union to the violation of child labor and safety laws, today we're looking at more bizarre history surrounding PepsiCo and its subsidiaries. If you haven't already seen part 1, go check that out right now or after this video ends. If you're excited, then hit that like button, and with all that out of the way, let's get into it. In the late 50s, Russia and the United States were coming off of the Cold War. Both countries were trying to repair their reputation and decided to meet up for several conventions. It was the Kitchen Debate on July 24th of 1959, where the course of Pepsi's history would be changed forever. Despite what the name might imply, this was actually a collaborative effort between both nations to share innovation and culture. And despite lingering tensions from the Cold War, there was actually a lot of appreciation for the technology of both parties. The Kitchen Debate itself wasn't actually a debate, but rather a series of conversations held between, at the time, Vice President Richard Nixon and Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev. One of the products shown off was none other than Pepsi Cola, and once a photo surfaced showing Nixon and Khrushchev both enjoying a nice cold cup, there was work to be done. Pepsi had an extreme stroke of luck with the existence of this photograph, but when Richard Nixon became president in 1969, the stars aligned almost too perfectly. Pepsi used this photograph to market to the USSR, and soon they had a $3 billion deal in which Pepsi syrup would be traded for vodka, effectively giving Pepsi a monopoly on the entire soda industry in Russia. The agreement lasted all the way until the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1990, and it easily could have gone on for much longer. Pepsi was actually negotiating another $3 billion deal in which they would receive a small navy, that being 17 submarines and a handful of warships. If the Soviets were around just a few years longer, maybe that urban legend of Pepsi having the largest navy in the world might have actually come true. You receive soda, I receive vodka and guns. While Pepsi never received their navy, they did renegotiate and start sourcing their Pizza Hut cheese from Russia, and they actually received double-hulled tankers from Ukraine, which might have helped transport their syrup across the ocean. But let's go back to Pizza Hut for a second. Just what were they going to do with all this newfound cheese? Well, we would get our answer in 1995, where Pizza Hut would unveil the fabled Stuffed Crust pizza. While Stuffed Crust wasn't a direct result of the New Deal between the former Soviet states and the United States, it was one of the many small victories that PepsiCo had going for it during the turn of the century. On March 25th, 1995, the first commercial appeared featuring Stuffed Crust, and the celebrity actors were none other than Donald and Ivana Trump. Seriously, you gotta watch this commercial, it's hilarious.
Do you really think this is the right thing for us to be doing, Ivana?
What will people think?
Let them talk.
Donald.
Ivana.
They actually encouraged people to eat the pizza backwards. Weird, but okay. Stuffed Crust was an immediate hit, and just think about how many places offer Stuffed Crust as an option in 2023. There have been many attempts at a new Stuffed Crust over the years, but no one has hit it as consistently as Pizza Hut. Not only was Ultimate Stuffed Crust a huge hit, but Hot Dog Stuffed Crust Pizza was so popular that Domino's just started selling it too. Take a look at this other commercial from 2007, nearly 12 years after the original launch, and they're still encouraging people to eat pizza backwards. After the invention of Stuffed Crust, Pizza Hut would return to its roots for yet another win. But not before PepsiCo was sued in 1997 for violating child labor laws in their Pizza Hut and Taco Bell locations. According to this AP News article from 1997, Taco Bell pressured at least 1,300 teenage employees into doing menial labor for no pay, and Pizza Hut was fined a hefty $194,000 for allowing minors to operate dangerous machinery. Personally, I think the Pizza Hut lawsuit is a bit extreme. I mean, especially considering how a lot of these locations were all from the same area, and many of the owners claimed that their employees had signed paperwork stating that they acknowledged the fact that they weren't allowed to operate the machinery. Also, I mean, I've worked at a lot of places, and I mean, there's a lot of age limits on a lot of machinery, and nobody really follows that. Whether it was things like electric jacks or the electronic food preparation machines like the rollers and slicers that Pizza Hut was dealing with. But this was just a minor setback, and Pizza Hut got right back on the horse and made yet another deal with Russia. Pizza Hut would be pioneering delivery once again, but this time they would be delivering a pizza to space. The restaurant's logo was painted on the side of a rocket, and after a successful launch, Russian cosmonaut Yuri Usachov would be the first man to eat Pizza Hut aboard the International Space Station. Quite a collection of accomplishments in just a few short years, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Throughout all of these adventures, PepsiCo was involved in yet another war. But this time, instead of cities being flattened by bombs, irreparable damage to families and communities, and permanent psychological damage, it was a battle of sauce and cheese. And fire! The Pizza Wars, fought between Pizza Hut, Little Caesars, and Domino's, was a period of time where each chain was trying to come up with a new way to reel in the masses. During this time, Pizza Hut dropped another extremely successful gimmick, the Bigfoot Pizza, a whopping 21 slices and measuring 2 square feet. What a beautiful, majestic creature. I wonder who it prays to when it goes to sleep at night. Is that Reggie from Nintendo? Why yes, Reggie Fils-Aime, the former president of Nintendo of America, was responsible for the introduction of the Bigfoot Pizza and the accompanying $4 million blimp that crashed and injured the crew. But let's not forget, he also introduced the Big New Yorker, a pizza that was so popular that they actually brought it back in 2023. But into the 2000s, Pizza Hut saw a decline in their sales. The Pizza Wars were just the beginning, as Domino's began their pizza tracking service and other chains like Papa John's and Cici's would begin rising to prominence. The 2008 recession also saw a decline in pizza delivery and a rise in frozen pizzas, and throughout the 2010s, Pizza Hut began slipping further and further, eventually taken over by Domino's as the industry leader in 2017. If this wasn't bad enough, locations began closing in the hundreds, and this was even before COVID ruined a lot of their dine-in locations. These places are especially nostalgic for me, and I don't use that term lightly. Some of my earliest and fondest childhood memories are from the Pizza Hut buffet. Monday nights, at least where I grew up, Pizza Hut would offer an all-you-can-eat buffet including unlimited garlic and cinnamon breadsticks, a salad bar, a variety of pizzas included the coveted dessert pizzas, and weirdly peaches and cottage cheese, which I also remember getting at Old Country Buffet. What's up with every buffet having peaches and cottage cheese? The dine-in restaurants always had these awesome stained glass dividers and lampshades, and the Pizza Hut in my hometown, I remember having an arcade. I mean, it wasn't anything special, but it was like a bunch of pinball machines, a bunch of like random little trinkets, you know, those like candy machines where you could get like M&M's, Mike and Ike's, or like something that you don't even know what it is. Some of my own fond memories, and apparently some of other people's fond memories, have helped bring Pizza Hut back after the pandemic. And I really hope that they reopen a lot of their stores because I want to start going back to Pizza Hut. Whenever I order pizza, I usually get Pizza Hut, but I haven't been to one of their sit-down locations in like many years. It wasn't just Pizza Hut that was having a hard time, it was actually PepsiCo as a whole that actually faced a few controversies coming into the 2010s. In 2001, PepsiCo acquired the Quaker Oat Company, and with it, they got Gatorade. Before the buyout, Gatorade had its own controversy in 1994. AmeriCares, a company that provides aid to victims of horrible tragedies like natural disasters and other things, and in this case, the Rwandan genocide victims were given Gatorade instead of water. Despite public backlash against this shameless product placement, AmeriCare stood by the fact that victims of dehydration and malnutrition would see a lot of benefit from drinking Gatorade. This didn't seem to harm the brand at all because Gatorade just soared in popularity through the 2000s and 2010s. I mean, growing up in the 2000s, Gatorade was everywhere, especially at school-sponsored sports events like football games and basketball games, all that stuff. And if you've ever worked at a grocery store, you know how huge the Gatorade displays can be. They're one of the biggest displays in the entire store. So many different flavors and colors. You know, you got diet, you got kinda diet. Although Gatorade remained a household name under the ownership of PepsiCo, there was one more huge controversy they had to get over, once again relating to hydration and malnutrition. In 2012, Gatorade released Bolt, a mobile game where the player would control Olympic athlete and fastest man alive Usain Bolt and collect Gatorade to complete increasingly difficult levels. The app was a huge hit despite the blatantly obvious product placement, but was pulled from the App Store in 2017 in response to a $300,000 lawsuit. Although nobody was injured, because if they were, that $300,000 would be a $300 million lawsuit, it was a little understandable why the app was so criticized. One of the big goals of the game is to avoid water, and the player is told repeatedly how collecting water will negatively impact your performance level. I don't think this is worthy of shutting the entire app down, maybe releasing an update to, change up some of the wording. Kids aren't that dumb. It's no different than showing their favorite characters not wanting to eat vegetables on their cartoons, am I right? And in the past few years, there have only really been a handful of relevant controversies from PepsiCo. Way back in 1985, Pizza Hut started Book It. Kids all over America could set and complete reading goals and earn free pizza, and in some schools, classrooms could even compete for a pizza party. I remember doing all this Book It stuff in school, and it just goes to show how successful the campaign was and continues to be. Last year, however, Pizza Hut was under fire for promoting Bigwig, a children's book about a young boy who dresses in drag. We unfortunately saw cracks in the Pizza Hut fan base, with some deeming the book inappropriate for children and others saying that it's completely fine. But one commercial from 2017 is irrefutably the most goofy and hilariously offensive commercial that PepsiCo could have probably ever put out. I'm of course talking about the legendary Pepsi Live for Now campaign. The goal of the ad was to promote unity and inclusion and all that stuff. But what we got was Kendall Jenner handing a can of Pepsi to a cop during a protest to the tune of Lions by Skip Marley. They got in hot water with plenty of news outlets and activist groups, but it's just so funny to me how you have protests, some getting extremely out of hand, a bunch of social and political issues, you got gun control, police brutality, Pepsi just shows up with their multi-million-dollar celebrity cameo and is like, here, we have solution for you. Come on guys, didn't you know the answer? Let me know what you guys think about any of these controversies or topics or anything that we discussed in this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you're hungry for more, check out all the other videos on my channel, and check out my gaming channel where I do weekly live streams at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Wednesday nights. Consider buying merch if you're a fan of the channel, it really helps out, especially since I'm not making money from YouTube right now. And no money means no animation. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. We'll probably do Pokemon cards next time.